Good morning, welcome back to part 2 of our main event Q&A. I'm joined by my good friends and co-hosts Adam and David. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Martin.
And David.
And good morning to you.
Yes, good stuff. Adam's got a holiday to go on, so let's boost our way through some of these brilliant questions. Jack Skinner asks, since the Champions League was formed, which format has been your favourite, least favourite? Which one do you think works the best? Adam, for me, the 16, the 4 groups of 4, quite tight, quite competitive, and straight on into the quarterfinals. I preferred. I really hated the 6, and you had to be the best runner-up, and the groups are very, very different, and we've talked about that to death. I can't remember enjoying the 2 group phase.
No.
I'm really interested to see if I've changed my mind on that when we start 99-2000. It also didn't last very long, but that probably is for me the 4 of 4, and so were the European Championships until they ruined that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very reminiscent of European Championships. Yeah, I would probably agree. You're kind of getting to the point where there's the opportunity for qualifiers and smaller clubs to sort of come through, and you maybe get a few dark horses coming in there, but it's just nice and neat once you get past that. What a couple of the tournaments that we've been discussing with that sort of second place runner up, there is an element of jeopardy in there that you can sort of try and you can understand, I guess, that can be quite tense, and maybe some of the games were dead rubbers towards the end, and that sort of piques interest a little bit, but it's just a little bit too chaotic. I remember we were looking at the prep for the 98-99 season, and we were thinking, if there was an extra goal in that last game, and I don't know what it was, Galatasaray, then maybe Man United wouldn't have won, and then you go down a rabbit hole and you're like, they would have actually because of X, Y, Z, and it becomes too much like a mathematical equation. So yeah, I'm the same as you. Group stage, double group stage, sorry, not a fan of. Again, it will be interesting to see if my memory is playing tricks on me, but it just felt pretty dull and sterile, and not surprisingly, one of the group stages felt like a massive waste of time. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think from what we've had just now, I would agree with you. Yeah,
David.
Yeah, I totally agree. 4 groups of 4, where realistically 10 or 12 teams felt they could get through. I like that, and then it's just nice and neat. And I really didn't like the double group stage. To me, it was a wee bit like it's Valentine's Day and you need to take your partner out for 2 meals before you get to the fun part. So I just thought it was just delaying getting to the fun stage. It made the first one a bit irrelevant and the second one a bit old hat.
As I said, I'm really interested to go back and have a look if my feelings have changed at all. Rona has asked, just for fun, this is obviously written quite close to the Rangers' victory over Dundee and Todd Cantwell's cross-come shot. Just for fun, was Scott Nisbet's Champions League goal more deliberate than Cantwell last night? I mean, I probably was trying a shot. He was just trying to just hit the ball as hard as possible, Nisbet. But at least he was trying to shoot, I think.
That's what I was going to say, on the basis that I think that was a semblance of a shot in the general direction of the goal rather than a big hook cross. Yeah. Obviously, bigger competition, etc. as well. So it's more important in that sense. So yeah, I'll go with that one.
A lot of people don't know this, but Scott Nisbet was actually the emeritus professor of physics at Edinburgh University, and therefore he had worked out in that split second that if he was to kick the ball at that angle off the incoming Bruges player, that it was all planned. I mean, he knew, and you just have to bow down and salute that genius. And Cantwell's was across. So,
and of course, neither of them are as good as Tony Vidmar lobbing Buffon.
No, true.
Archie McPherson just said he's not done much, Tony. Not done much at all. Just as he collects the ball. Yeah, Scott knows, but Shane Warne was looking at that, Davey, apparently, and said, I think there's something in this.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. So what you do is you get a wee bit of spin on it, and it can bounce in funny directions. See
and the
by the way,
pitch very, very different in those days than it is now.
yes.
He might have taken his chances with that penalty spot.
You guys might remember this. Tony Vidmar scored one of the best goals I've ever seen at Ibrox. It was in an Old Firm reserve game.
Yeah.
There was about 30. There was about 30,000 there, I remember, two quite strong teams. And he beat about 6 players and smashed one in. It was a wonderful goal, and it's become a bit of a cult thing because loads of people were there.
Yeah, and most missed it because Old Firm reserve games in those days were just for people who didn't really get a lot of Old Firm tickets, just to sing abuse and shout abuse. You get a healthy crowd on both sides, and it was one of those. Oh shit! Oh, something's happened, and something absolutely did happen. Duncan Ferguson's goal, another one from another previous. Anyway, this is the Champions League, but still relating to Rangers in the current day. Adam, Mikey Anderson, if you could choose 5 players from any team from the Champions League in the season we've just done, 98-99, and put them in today's Rangers team, who would it be and why? And you probably can't see all of them. So, 5. Yapstam is jumping out to me.
But then again, is this 5 players from the one team, or is this 5 players from
just from the Champions League?
Okay. So I think if, by the way, this was in fact, I can't really remember, to be honest, in terms of how he played in this, but just based on the chat that we had earlier on and based on the overwhelming needs, I'll probably put Redondo in as my first pick, because that's something that we have been missing for a long time at Rangers. So I'll probably stick someone like that in. I think Yapstam 100% comes out. Shevchenko, I think rightly will be one for me as well. And then I would look at David Beckham, I think, coming in, finally replacing Daniel Candeias, ignoring those 3 years that we never played. Ignoring those 3 years that we never played right wingers and didn't need to replace them, but I will bring in Beckham, and then I'll probably go for Giggs again, filling some issues on the wings. So yeah, I think that's a decent combination. We need a centre half, we need a number 6, we need 2 wingers and a centre forward. So I'll go with that 5.
I would concur. I mean, I can't really remember either if Redondo did much of the biz. I'd take Nicky Butt, I'll be quite honest. Conte, anyone just at the base of that midfield. We already have a player who can't stay on side, Davey, but people in Zaga was probably a wee bit more prolific than
just a touch.
Dessler, so I'd chuck people in there just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I'll go Stam, Keane, Giggs. I agree with Adam on that one. Del Piero, just because it's my team and I'm allowed. And then, that's a good one. You know what? I'd go Mehmet Shaw, because he had a brilliant. Yeah, if we're going in just that year, Mehmet Shaw was terrific. I mean, he really was, and he actually gives Man United a right hard game in the final. And had he taken that chance, then he would have a Champions League winners medal as well.
Again, I think I'd have taken a 39-year-old Lothar Matthäus, but this is basically anyone who played the Champions League that season. I'd
yes, please
accept in this moment in time. Adam, this is definitely one for you, and Davey and I can put the kettle on or whatever. Russ, what are your opinions on where Zidane stands in the pantheon? Probably the most aesthetically pleasing player to watch when he played, but also only cracked 10 Champions League goals. I love the word cracked in there, as if I'm reading The Sun, once in his career. I take Pelters for saying Del Piero was better for Juve and also the better season in 98 when Zizou won the Ballon d'Or. Cheers, lads. Love the show.
First of all, Russ, welcome. If you want to come on the next show, you absolutely can. You might need to get some new pals because Del Piero was better than Zinedine Zidane at Juventus, 100%. We've spoken about this. 2 great seasons for Zinedine Zidane in 10 years at Juventus and Real Madrid. There's maybe an argument that question about myths and legends for me is probably up there as well. I completely agree with what
Zidane at Juve.
Yeah, I completely agree with what. Well, no, I think he was better at Juve than he was at Madrid. For me, I think he had a terrific season each. At one terrific season at Juve and one at Madrid. But yeah, I wasn't a fan at Madrid. Maybe it's just because I'm not a Madrid fan at all. But I just didn't. To be honest, as soon as he held up that number 5 shirt, I was like, "This is not working for me. Absolutely no chance. What is going on here? That's a joke." You're not a centre half. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. He doesn't stand for me. Probably in my top 10, and that's not to say he's terrible. I think he would get into the top 20 without a doubt. But I don't get the whole fantastic, talented player 100%. But that sort of domination thing you're talking about, 2 or 3 games. Okay, yes, one of them's a World Cup final, which absolutely helps, and one's a Champions League final where he scores that goal. But there's a longevity thing there that doesn't really stack up for me.
But I think Russ gets to maybe the nub of that just at the end of his question, Adam, when he says, "Look, Del Piero was better. He had a better season. He had a better year in 1998 than Zidane.
But he didn't win the World Cup. Right? Yeah,
exactly. And it's moments. The Ballon d'Or has nothing to do with your consistency and week by week output. It's big games, big moments, headline grabbing. It's basically you haven't read the book for your book review in English and you've read the blurb and you're going to just basically, try and get your way out of this. And that's it. And you're absolutely right. That's why. And that film in his later stages at Madrid, which is just focused purely on him on the ball, and he does look beautiful. I mean, he looks graceful pretty much at all times. The impact on games is I guess a point that you would continue to make. Davey, are you going to buck the revisionism here?
No, because at the risk of annoying a lot of fans. I remember there was a chat on the site about the greatest footballer of all time, and a guy said Zidane, and I genuinely couldn't believe it. I genuinely couldn't believe that he's not in the conversation as far as I'm concerned. He was very pleasing to watch when he was on it, and that's true. He had an elegance and a grace and an ability about him that few have had, but he was very good at choosing when to do it, right? And for me, you can't compare him to Messi, for example, because Messi did it week in, week out for a decade. Zidane, Oh, yeah, big games, small games, didn't matter. He just did it, right? The years he was ending up with, what was it that year? He got 78 goals, I think, in a season. It's not comparable, and maybe it's because that I'd watched Zidane in Italy, and Euro '96 and everything. So I didn't just get the kind of post '98 version of Zidane. I'd seen what he'd done, and he could do amazing things, and he did do it in big games. There's no getting away from that. You can't say that, he never showed up in the big games. He did, but he didn't show up in an awful lot of other games. So for me, I think wonderful talent, loved watching him. When he was on one during a tournament, for example, then absolutely splendid. But I agree with Adam. I genuinely was surprised that people would actually put him forward as the greatest player of all time, because for me, he's nowhere near it.
I think the question is really well worded because it's aesthetically pleasing, absolutely, but gaps in terms of goals. Means playing as a number 10, for example, not hitting more than 10 league goals in a season when he's playing for the best 2 clubs at the time. I think there's challenges there as well. So no, I think it's a good question, 100%. I was trying to think, Martin, just for fairness, and this will probably spark a debate, but for me, I'd have Modric above him. in terms of what he's achieved.
Produced.
Whether there's an actual talent thing there or not, but I would certainly have Luka Modric's Madrid spell better than Zidane's. I'd have Xavi and Iniesta above him, but that might just be my bias personally. There's an argument that there's probably not many more, but when we're talking about greatest in the world, you're getting ranked against more than best ever. You're getting ranked against more than just players that play in your position, I guess.
Yeah, longevity has to be a factor. Otherwise, we are getting into the realms of art. And it was, well, look, he could do these amazing things. And you're right, he could. But look at the guys who did it. You're absolutely right. In terms of who did better at Real Madrid, then you not only have Modric, you've got Kroos.
You've got loads, though. As we'll come to eventually, that Real Madrid run, there's plenty of players that would have more medals and more stats. But it goes back to the question I think we picked on last week about myth making, and he does have in a way. I'm not surprised by that comment, Davey, because there is a narrative out there that puts him in that conversation, and it's repeated and repeated and repeated. So I'm not surprised that someone kind of picks that up. But that World Cup final, and of course Hamden. Weirdly, I think Zidane for France better in 2000. I think Euro 2000 he was absolutely.
He was one. That's what I mean.
Compared to his World Cup, and we're going down a different path altogether. And I know you won't agree with this, David, but again, relative to the quality and the fitness and form the individuals in around him, Diego Maradona's contribution to Argentina in 1990 with one leg was probably better than it was in 1986, which is sacrilegious given a couple of the goals especially and where he was in his pomp. But he was fucked that year, and that Argentina team were a disgrace, and he dragged them to a World Cup final that they had no business being in. But it doesn't look as beautiful, and his glory, of course, is glorious because they didn't win as 4 years before. And it's history's written by the victors and all that, but it's
absolutely. And I just think that with Zidane, that he, as I did enjoy watching it, and you're right, that Euro 2000, he was great at doing it and things that stick in people's minds. But there has to be a reward for the guys who went out there and did it week in, week out, for their club side, for their international side, for in the Champions League, etc. And another thing about Zidane in the very modern game, the last 10 years, I don't think a major team can carry a player like that anymore. Because even in that number 10 role, the work rate, the pace, and you can't play for Man City and say, I'll be back and I'm not going to really kick my ass for the next 6 weeks, but I'll see it. I just don't. I think he was a great player. He was an icon, right? But greatest player.
That's it. Okay, we'll move on. Fox asks, can each panelist pick their best front three from the teams involved in the years covered so far? I'm going to take that as being the front three that existed in a team rather than perm a three from any, but you can read that however you want. I will leave one for Adam. I still think in terms of consistency, and I quite liked Del Piero, Rava, and Vialli for me. Adam,
that's the one I was going to take.
Yeah. I'd go for Ajax's, where they had their front three. You'd Lippmann and Kluivert, often Finidi George, somebody like that, or Babangida. But if it's just the three, that's more fun. If we're just allowed to pick three from this era. That right? Wow. Oh God, this is so much fun. There's some wonderful players here. Overmars on the left, I'd say, and then on the right, Adam, help me out here. On the right,
just not many threes, Adam, is there?
No, there's not really. That's the thing, because you've got the number 10. You got Finidi George. I guess you've got Beckham. You could just about push out there if you want, but he's not a...
not as a forward, no. All right, well, I'll just go with 3 strikers. Boxic, York, Del Piero.
Fair enough. And Fox has another brilliant question. As the years covered so far, I also covered the emergence of Cool Britannia. Which Britpop band would you most want to see kick fuck out of Bernard Tapie? David, you would probably be our go-to there. I mean, Liam wasn't scared of a fight or two. The Manics maybe, but I will bow to your assessment here.
I think Shed 7 could handle themselves in a brawl. Yorkshire lads, so they knew their way about a fight. You don't really want, Blur, the art school. So no, I think you're right. I think we'll stick in the north and we'll go for a combined Oasis Shed 7, and there were a couple of really handy guys. Oh fuck! What am I thinking? Rob Collins from the Charlatans, the man who was jailed for being the getaway driver, while he was the keyboard player in the Charlatans, who was jailed for being the getaway driver for a robbery, an armed robbery, which he decided to do because he thought it sounded like a laugh. So we'll send him round to deal with the French cheat.
Okay, so Dunk, so you asked 2 questions. Rank in order the quality of the Champions League winners from the years covered so far.
Oh,
and
that's
also
good.
the best individual performance from a player in those finals, not named Marcel Desailly of AC Milan. Adam, let's take with the player first. We're not allowed to pick Desailly. I'm going to pick the same game. I'll go for Savicevic personally, because a lot of the finals that came after this, they're tense as hell. They're edgy. Sometimes the best team, the best player on the pitch didn't actually win. It's an awkward one. Individual performance.
Yeah, it is an awkward one. Because I think you're spot on. Littman,
you're actually looking,
maybe?
you're actually looking at defenders, I think, in the kind of 3 Juve fight, because as Martin said, they were as tight as 2 coats of paint, and you maybe get would Dortmund would have candidates.
I mean, I don't want
that
to
night.
Say, to be honest.
No, I don't want. I'm not. I know the one you're thinking, so we'll go with Andreas Muller.
He's probably got a shout, to be honest. He had a job that night, and he did it. He
Stefan Kloss that night, though. I mean, they don't win it without him, so we'll go with him. You two are right, though. It's Marcel Desailly and Dejan Savicevic. Those are the 2. That's it.
Trust Dunk to ask a fucking pain in the arse question.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Littman.
Another one here. The top 7 then. In ascending order for me, I've got Dortmund at the bottom. That was smash and grab. Fair enough. This is the best winners in terms of quality. Dortmund 97, Madrid 98, United 99. I'm taking them in terms of their overall achievement or the performance that evening. Juve 96, Marseille 93, Ajax 95, and obviously Milan 94 would be my best team. Adam.
I think I agree on pretty much everything except 1 and 2. I'll just swap them around. I think for me, Ajax, I mean, that Milan team is fabulous, 100%, but there's not, I was going to say there's an argument, but there's not. That's them just getting past their peak. There, albeit quite a few of them still hang around a little bit. I know the Ajax team was not once and done, but maybe twice and done. But I think when you then look at, and again, it's a purely personal thing, when you then look at all of those players and they go on probably to have arguably the same success or even better in quite a few instances across the continent. I mean, every league. They go into La Liga, Serie A, England, and go in and do really, really well, win more honours there. I think for me that sort of stands them out as really special individuals playing in a special team right at the start of their careers, young, unfancied, all that sort of stuff that I quite enjoy in there as well. Milan were great, and one of the best teams playing in the best league. But I think for that, maybe the surprise aspect of it with Ajax, and then how they were able to go and repeat that in other leagues and other teams, with other managers, all that sort of stuff there. I think I'd probably put them just a little bit higher on this as a personal preference.
Davey,
I
mean,
think,
at the risk of crossing Sir Dunk's path, I mean, I do have Marseille in third, but they were brilliant. They were a fantastic team.
They were fantastic, and fantastic to watch as well, unfortunately. I just kind of feel, even though I actually would agree with Adams, I would have swapped your top two as well. But there is a bit of me that thinks we should shove that Juventus team up, because they clearly were, for a period, the best team in Europe, right? And I know they only won one, and that's what understandably is held against them. But after what we've just said about how difficult it is to even get to the final, you know. But then
I put them down, Davey, because the better teams didn't win it. I think 97.
Yeah, that's fair.
Certainly a better team than 96. Argument that maybe 98 was better.
Yeah.
But the 96 team is as much as it was, and
yeah,
I
agree.
Yeah,
but
Marseille's
I have to
off the pitch, but Juve's might be on it.
The best final performance was Milan. But I do agree with Adam that I think Ajax were a better team, because some of the demolitions they were handing out that year, and everything was perfectly in balance. That was the thing about it. Everything was perfectly in balance. Everyone knew their position. They were thrilling. They were unstoppable the year they won it, and I think that counts for something. But the best performance in a final, it's not even close. In this era that we're talking, it's Milan.
But those two cut above, right?
Yeah.
William Hughes, I've got two questions, kind of the same. William Hughes, in 92-93 first Champions League final, we came so close, but do we beat AC Milan in Munich? For me, we were a match for anyone that season. And Finlay Mark says, I've absolutely loved the show so far. Loads of great memories as well. Lots of stuff that's completely new to me. The tactical analysis in particular has been fantastic. I know this is something that will cross over slightly with Dominant, but would you be able to break down tactically whether or not you think we could have feasibly given Milan a game had we reached the final in 93? I've said this on record, at the time with the players that were available, the state we were in, look at the cup final against Aberdeen for reference, which was only played a few days after that Champions League final was played. I do not think we would have won. Rangers in the October or November of that season against the Milan team that played that night, and Capello being a wee bit caught in two minds and not quite putting the right team out, maybe. I don't know, I think there's every chance that happens, but I think we were exhausted. Adam, is there a way that Smith could have made that work, given no McCoist, Haley's back, of course, but a team that was just, as we would see for the next 2 years, broken?
And remember, Adam, that you've got to find a way tactically to do this with Neil Murray up against Marcel Desailly. I'm not even joking. You do.
Final scoring Neil Murray.
Yes, cup final scoring Neil Murray. More than I've ever done.
When you put it like that,
sorry.
I think so. I think no McCoist, you mentioned there as well, is obviously a big issue in there. It would be nice to think about it. We obviously lionise this team for very good reason, but I don't think I think it would be kind to say that they would go into anywhere less than overwhelming underdogs. So yes, in this alternate reality, why not? They could also get a goal from a corner, Richard Goff powering it in where Basil Bowley did, and then defend their way through it. But yeah, I'd think maybe particularly that Milan team, when we spoke, David mentioned earlier, we've spoken before the couple of years after that with Capello where he tightens them up. They weren't at that stage here. So I think it might have got a little bit messy, but great question from Finlay on there, and I'm glad he enjoys the tactical analysis piece of it, because it's an interesting one looking back at it and trying to place what happened at the time. But no, I think I think it may be a bridge too far.
Martin, see, just then to put myself back in that year, I never thought we could beat Milan the whole year. And I don't think I would have loaned in that. I did think if we can get to the final, I hope Milan will make it. It was a bit going, yeah, and it was a bit the
Milan were always taking it. That's the thing. They pretty much booked tickets about.
At that time, the aura that they had in the UK, you mentioned at one time, I think on Dominant, that when Milan got beat, it was on the freaking Radio Scotland News, right? That they were like Man City are now, or Real Madrid are now. You know, that they carried a reputation in front of them, and even at that age, at 15, and believing we could get to, absolutely believing not only that we could, but we would get to the final. I never really in my heart believed we could beat them. So, as Adam says, maybe a set piece, and they could raise their game. We Durante coming on a bit of magic, and then Gorham as one of his flying pig nights, and Gorham at that time was as good as you get, but I just never really had it in my heart of hearts that Rangers team could beat them. Also, Milan team showed up in finals.
Yeah, I didn't that night, but
they did get. We wouldn't have been able to kick Marco van Basten off the park with him. We hadn't paid anybody.
I don't think it would have get messy. That Rangers team just had too much about them.
Yeah, agreed.
But Milan would have just did just that bit more. Okay, great question though. A perennial issue, and look, contemporaneously, there was a lot of respect for the Milan players as that Champions League was going on, thinking, I think we'll face Rangers, and
we don't want to. They're the ones we don't want.
Very impressed by how they're looking. Not my words, Lynn, the words of Franco Baresi. Jim GLW, top 3 Champions League strips from the 1990s. All the Juve ones, really, for me. Davey, this is your bag.
Well, obviously the white away that Scott Nisbet scored the goal in.
Oh, yeah.
I think deserves. I think deserves a shout. The Sony black and white Juve one was an absolute peach of a top, and I would also say the blue one. Sorry, the UV blue one. Blue and yellow one was really smart. But I do think, see the Abin Amro Ajax one, simple, classic. And I have to say the ugliest kit, the reason that Bayern Munich deserved to be beaten and beaten that cruelly was that strip. Who the fuck designed that thing?
That's horrible. The Milan one from '94 is simplicity.
Oh,
Absolutely gorgeous. It's. I don't know if there's many others kind of jumped out. I mean, I usually like Real Madrid strips because in recent years, the 21st century, really, simplicity has been their kind of key. 2002 is superb. Horrible during the 1990s. Lots of purple.
White and purple and a weird sponsor.
You're sitting here with a 2011-12 Rangers top, I see. Any that we've not mentioned?
On the basis that I was actually just seeing if I could eye them up there in my cupboard. What have I got? I've got the Ajax one, and I've got the Milan one that we've spoken about. So those would be top 2. I like that Real Madrid's, was it the last of the season that we spoke about, 98-99, or the one before, with Teka on it for the first time in the white with purple. I like that, but I'm not picking a Madrid top, so I think I will go for Juventus Danone.
Barca 93-94 was a really smart version of the Barca kit.
The Kappa one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I had that as well.
90s kits, again, we're looking at that Amazon Prime documentary. How they moved, how they had any
in rain
movement through the wind, absolute.
You could take that to. You could take 2 of those tops and you could clothe a field at Glastonbury this year, right? I mean, they were absolutely enormous, which is maybe why I like that Kappa top, because it being a Kappa top, obviously, it was designed for the more athletic gentleman, but it was still the 90s, so it would probably be like a normal fit now.
Michael Scott.
What about the Rangers 90, 96, 97? I mean, that I could probably still fit into that now, but the one that I had when I was 11 years
You
old.
can't
Probably.
see the Rangers 94-96 top that I've got, Adam, is the one I bought then, right, in 94. I've still got it. It's a medium. It would easily, and I've measured it against modern tops, it's easily an extra large, and that's a medium.
It's mad.
It really is. Michael Scott, best boss in the world. When another thing we've kind of done that, but when do you think the Champions League was at its peak?
Whatever, or in this period.
Yeah, let's take this from 92, 93 until today.
I think the mid-90s you've got some staggering teams, but see the sort of late 2000s when you've got the end of the English dominance and the start of the Barcelona generation, when those two are, the Venn diagram is crossing over. Look at the teams that you've got there. There's some serious operators there.
Adam?
Yeah, I'm going to agree. It's tricky because I think there's two for me. I missed this question actually, so I'm just sort of going on the hoof. I think there's two. I think just that fact that the first few seasons that we spoke about, maybe up until Juventus winning, I think the fact that there was just a new team appearing that were dominant and then disappeared, etc. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I thought that was really interesting, and then I probably agree with David that Barcelona period for me, those certainly the 3 years, was terrific. But I think I really enjoyed and it maybe didn't quite make its way into the latter stages of the Champions League, but that Barcelona Real Madrid rivalry round about that time for me was exceptional. Where you had Guardiola against Mourinho. You also had Inter Milan spice in there, I guess, as well. So that period there.
See that 5 years, 2008 to 2013, Adam. I think in that 5 years you've got Chelsea, Manchester United, Barcelona, and Inter Milan, and then you've also got the emergence of Bayern Munich, it's club and Borussia Dortmund, but the gegenpressing. So in that 5 year, you go from the English sides are utterly dominant and great sides, and two of them meeting in the final, and then within that 5 year spell, though, you go right through to Barcelona, and then Barcelona themselves being toppled by this new exciting German football. It just every year seemed to throw up.
It's also it's washing away. It's washing away that kind of Benitez, Mourinho mid 2000s.
Martin loves that
style. I was just going to say that Martin will love.
People have asked, can you do like 3 instead of just doing 2 episodes, guys? You get plenty of time. Just relax, do 3 a season or whatever. Wait till we do a season. Wait till we do 1 hour long episode on the 2003 final alone. I mean, there's different things. It's a great question. David's point in terms of the contest and the drama and the interest, I think it's absolutely right. That 08 to 13 is so much. The soap opera stuff, the divergence in approach, I think, is superb. In terms of purity, I said it on this show, I said it on Dominant, that 1995 final, those 2 lineups, I don't think relative to the standards of the day, 2 stronger teams have lined up in a final. I'll be very interested if I revise that opinion in finals as we go along. My point being that no player stood.
95 or 94?
95, the Ajax versus Milan.
All right.
Those 2 11s, no single player standing out as being a cut above everything else. It was quality from all 22, and I'm not sure we've seen a final of that. In terms of the overall technical ability, it is the last few years. I mean, the knockouts have been wild, and football moves in that direction. Great question, though, Michael. Douglas, and it's a theme that we've kind of dealt with before, but why did the smaller countries allow themselves to be manoeuvred to the side to allow from being a Champions only trophy to where it was obviously going to become with no pushback from outside the big 5 leagues? they didn't have the strength to do
Yeah,
otherwise. The Pandora's box had been opened, David.
Can I come in on that one yet? This gets put forward a lot, and it always intrigues me. And I go back even to, when we get fines from UEFA, the club need to. It doesn't work like that. It's UEFA's ball, and if you want to play with it, you do it on their terms. And if you don't, then they will tell you to fuck off. Now, there is much more leeway for Real Madrid, Liverpool, Manchester United, Barcelona, etc. We know this, but that's nothing new. But the idea that the smaller nations, that Scotland, Holland, Sweden, Denmark, could go to UEFA and say, we don't like this. The answer is, oh, that's a shame. And then what do? There's nothing you can do, because you are applying to play in their competition. So this thing, we'll take you to court. That's something that people say to me a lot. We'll take them to court on what? It's an elective competition that we're asking to be in. They give you a list of rules, and you either agree to it or you don't play in their competition. So it's not a case of being allowed. It's kind of in a way, it's like saying, why do countries allow bigger countries to invade them? There's not a lot you can do about it. You can put up a fight, but it's a fight you're going to lose. And with UEFA, here's the thing: if UEFA turned around tomorrow and said, no more clubs from out with the top 5 leagues in the Champions League, you guys are Europa and Conference, we could moan, and there would be loads of think pieces about the death of competition and all that, but there is fuck all we could do about it. UEFA run football exactly the way they want it, in much the same way FIFA do the worldwide game, and you either go with them or you don't. And if you're not big, they don't care.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's nothing else I can add to that. It's it did open up that Pandora's box, and there's nothing really we could have done to stop it once we had. The final question from Scott Dixon. This season, 98-99, the one we've just done, is this the tipping point where clubs from smaller countries lost the chance of winning it? The initial 5-6 seasons, the Champions League felt a bit of an open draw. Sides like Ajax, Kiev, Monaco, etc. could go far, and the big European superpowers such as Bayern, Real, Milan, Man United were still finding their feet. From next season onwards, barring 03-04, shocks seem less frequent, and clubs from smaller nations have seemingly no chance. Is it simply, or is it too simplistic to say the structural changes of the two group stages killed the chances of us having another Ajax? And if so, was this truly the last season before the Big Four took over and never looked back? I do wonder, Adam, and we'll discuss it when we get back around the table to pick this up again, whether the two group things and everything else is a bit of a red herring. This was inevitable just because of the stuff we've talked about tonight and last week about where the money was, where the power is. You will get those anomalies, and 03-04 is a fun old season for various reasons, but a wee bit like the Premier League in 15-16, whenever it was that Leicester won it. Just all the big boys having transitions or weirdness. I mean, that Milan Deportivo game, for example. This is where it was always kind of going, really, but it does feel like this is the edge. Kiev maybe being that team.
Yeah, I'd probably take it I'd probably take it up to that Porto Monaco, to be honest. After that is when you
get Leverkusen, haven't you? Too.
Yeah, I was going to say Valencia hitting 2 finals in a row, in the seasons we're about to cover, and then Leverkusen. Milan Juventus was horrific, as we know we're going to come on to.
But both of them are from top 5 leagues, though.
Yeah,
I know what you mean, that they're smaller, but they're still coming from the same qualifying pot.
I agree. But I think when you start to then get into Liverpool Milan, I mean, just looking at the winner, looking at the finalists, that Liverpool Milan game, you've got Arsenal the year after, which probably is a surprise. It's not a fantastic Wenger team. That's him just at the start of this latest iteration that he was going for. But then after that, it's Barcelona, Man United, Inter Milan, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Juventus. From
Ajax, maybe the last time we had something close to an outsider. I suppose again, as David's point, they're a underperforming. They're kind of a European minnow in a huge league. Ajax, of course, royalty, but when are Dutch teams getting to that kind of level? And Ajax should have been in that final, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
So, yeah.
probably the only one in recent years. Missing one.
I would say so. Yeah.
That COVID one, I can't remember. Did Leon go quite far? I think they may have got to
Semis, I think.
Yeah. But and they did again in the 2000s. I'm sure, but again, France, Big Five. But it was coming anyway. Gents, it's been a pleasure to just take all these great questions, take stock, and thank you for that. Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to the listeners. They were wonderful questions, and I know that the three of us have thoroughly enjoyed going through them. So thank you.
No, it's been a lot of fun. Adam, enjoy your holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, I guess thank you for all the questions, and I guess bear some in mind because we'll do this again. And another what 10 shows or something. So try and remember the questions or write them down in the comments, and we can go through them. But yeah, thank you for having me. And it's been a good little look back at the first 5 or 6 seasons.
We'll be back soon. 99, 2000, Valencia. Where Steve McManaman could be man of the match in the Champions League final, and also where Rangers are not horrific in the Champions League. A nice little change. Until then, bye for now.